process of acquisition is actually fairly well defined. One of the things that people think when they're talking about buying a piece of software, or anything else for that matter, is that, well, you go out and buy it. And, you know, you go to a supplier, they have stuff, you look at that, and you pick out the thing you want, and you give them the money, and you walk away with it. And that works that way in the software business. Most of the code that's out there is already written, and the reason why you go through the acquisition process anyhow is because you can get what you want cheaper and immediately if somebody's already gone to the trouble of writing it. So basically there's two conditions that are the simplest conditions. You either buy something that currently exists or you have somebody make it for you. In both those cases, the purchase is driven by something called a specification, or if you want to use the technical term, a specification of software requirements, or an SRS. There are many levels of specification actually, but the bottom line basically with the specification is it says what you want. Now what you want basically is expressed in terms of functions required, or simple terms, what the software is supposed to do. Specification of requirements drives the entire process because that provides the basis for defining the product. A piece of software is invisible. You don't know what you're buying. And so basically the problem with buying any kind of software is you spend an awful lot of money to get something you can't see. And it's so complex that you probably couldn't understand it anyhow. And in most cases with stuff that's already been built, you won't even be able to see it because the manufacturer won't give you the source code. All you will get is the binary, and the binary basically is not only the machine is the only thing that knows, can make any sense out of that. And so instead, what you do is use a proxy for that, which is the functions or functionality. Functionality is nothing more than what the software does. And so you can make a list of things that you want the software to do at the beginning, give it to all the suppliers out there as a basis for making the purchase. They can tell you how they're going to do all that stuff or how they're going to provide those functions to you. And then when time comes to actually make the purchase, you can test the software by basically trying out all the functions. And if those functions meet your requirements, which are specified at the beginning of the process, then you know you got what you want. And so the idea basically is that that applies either whether you're buying it, off the shelf, or whether you're buying essentially a company to go make it for you. If you do it off the shelf, you can take it off the shelf and you can test it against the functionality. In most cases, if you've got 100 functional requirements, the software will satisfy 90 of them if it's doing a really good job. But if you've got a piece of software that satisfies 95% of your requirements, and a piece of software that satisfies 85% of your requirements, you know which one you got to buy. And the reason why is because, it does closer to what the first one does closer to what it is you wanted to get out of it. One of the other advantages, which is a business one, is that if you have a full, complete specification requirements and you're planning on buying off the shelf, and you take all the stuff off the shelf and you run it against your that list of requirements, if none of them meet your requirements, you can always work with the people that are selling the software to say, hey, I need a discount. Why do I need a discount? Well, it only satisfies 80% of my requirements, so I should only give you $80, not $100, because basically I'm more than happy to buy the 80% that you do provide, but on the other hand, you didn't provide the 20% that I need, and therefore I have to go somewhere else, and so I think you ought to knock the price down. That's just a simple, I don't know what the right street smart business part of it. But the bottom line basically with that is that the only way you're able to do that is if you have a clear statement of what's required or what the software has to do as a basis for testing it. Now, there are a number of things that go into the building a specification. One of those is the business case. Business case basically is the specification you need to acquire, and that says why you need to do it. And what will then ensue in terms of the requirements will be what it's going to do. And the other thing is the assurance case, which says basically how secure the software is supposed to be. And that assurance case basically drives some of the functions that are specified in the software requirement specification. And so again, if you go out to buy a piece of software off the shelf, you can test that piece of software for the security functionality, and you can say, which is a real advantage. You can say in simple terms, yes, this is secure. Why is it secure? Because it met all my security functional requirements. Or this is insecure. And you know, the idea basically is most people that purchase software don't have the slightest idea how to do that. If on the other hand you go into the process with an assurance case in hand, you have literally got the behaviors you need to see the software exhibit, and if you see it exhibit those behaviors, then you can say with assurance it's secure, but you've thought that through in advance. That's the advantage of the specification.